But we're going to start by going out to Ohio, and our man Eric Mangini, he joins us from his crib. And that is the same Eric Mangini you used to see on this show. He is now 1 mil Mangini, matching 1 mil Whitlock. Look at Mangini. Looks like he weighs about 185 pounds. Awesome to have you here. All right, guys, let's talk about the big news in the NFL. Rob Gronkowski has reunited with Tom Brady. This is amazing. This is incredible. The New England Patriots, Bill Belichick, yesterday trades Gronkowski to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for a fourth-round pick. Of course, Gronkowski was retired all of last year, had dropped a bunch of weight. Now he says he's back up to 260 pounds. Can't wait to reunite with Tom Brady down in Tampa. Sounds like Gronkowski retired a year ago, claiming his body and injuries, and he just couldn't put up with it anymore. But now he reappears in Tampa with Tom Brady. I'm wondering if any of this is a bad look for Bill Belichick and the Patriot Way. The two greatest Patriots, perhaps. No, I take that back. John Hanna would be my number two. But the two greatest Patriots of the modern era have both relocated to Tampa Bay away from Bill Belichick. Bad look for Belichick and the Patriot Way, Marcellus?
Not at all. It's not, because, look, they're going down to Florida in their retirement home in Tampa Bay, both of these guys collectively, with all that they've earned and the equity that they've gotten from their experience with the Patriots. So the Patriot Way, if you're in it to win it, you have to do it the Patriot Way. It's been the most successful model we've seen in football. But at the same time, doesn't mean that it's the most fun you can have in that journey to success. But let's be real. We've all grown up around people who had more fun than us, didn't sacrifice the same, didn't dedicate themselves the same. And most, if not all of those people who had more fun than us turned out to not be much. So that's just how the game goes. And I'm a guy who didn't get into the NFL experience focused on necessarily getting a Super Bowl trophy. But those who did, you do it the Patriot Way, that's going to reap you the most reward. So look at these guys now. They have the equity. They can't lose. Even if they go to Tampa Bay and fall flat on their face, both of these guys, they're still New England Patriots Super Bowl champions 6 times and 3 times over. So there's nothing for these guys to really risk except going out the way that they want to, having some fun.
Yeah, this is absolutely on brand for the Patriots and for Bill Belichick. He takes an asset that wasn't doing anything and translates that into a 4th-round draft pick. He wasn't going to come back and play in New England, and that's fine. But he's able to trade him to Tampa Bay, get the $10 million, the $9 million that would have potentially come onto the cap had he unretired and forced them to make decisions. He gets that off of the cap, and he translates it into an asset. You know, from Gronkowski's standpoint, he goes down to Tampa Bay making $9 million. There's no state income tax. You know, you realize after a year off, it's hard to make $9 or $10 million just doing WWE and endorsements like that. So I'm sure that's a lot more attractive, and you're a year further away from all the dings and things that hurt, and you think, okay, I can go do it one more time. So to me, this is not a reflection on the Patriot Way at all. If anything, it's completely on brand for what Bill does.
Listen, I hear all that, and look, Bill Belichick doesn't have to apologize to anybody for the way he operates, the way he runs the Patriots. He's the greatest coach perhaps we've ever seen in sports history, certainly the greatest coach in NFL history and football history. I don't want to take any shots at Bill Belichick. However, I do think this is fascinating that Tom Brady, one of maybe the most respected player in the NFL in the last 20 or 30 years, clearly has said that he started thinking about leaving New England a year ago. He wanted out of there. Here's Gronkowski, fun-loving, one of the greatest tight ends we've ever seen in all of football. He, tired of doing it the Patriot Way and the Bill Belichick way, retires and then magically reappears in Tampa within 2, 3, 4 weeks after Tom Brady lands there. Some of this, to me, is a look of like, hey, if Brady and Gronk are tired of Belichick and the Patriots way, there is a message being sent around the league. And so this, to me, is a bit of a bad look. And look, Bill Belichick can afford a boatload of bad looks. He's coached in 9 Super Bowls. He's won 6. He won 2 as a defensive coordinator. It would take a lot of bad looks for anybody to diminish what Bill Belichick has accomplished. But I do think there is a slight bad look of 2 of all-time greats that are somewhat saying it's just not any fun playing in New England anymore. You can only take so much of that. We had Ben Watson on the program earlier, and he played 7 of his 16 seasons in New England and said that he was kind of worn out after his first 6 years in New England. He circled back late in his career. I do think this is somewhat, without diminishing Bill Belichick, this is somewhat of a bad look for the Patriots.
I really don't think it is. I think this – oh, I'm sorry, Coach, but I just think this maps on to what our world is in terms of what it takes to climb that mountain of success in life. It's not the same thing it takes to stay at that top, stay at that apex. And I think that right now you're just seeing the mentality of 2 guys who they're like, look, we put all that we had to get to a certain place, but now that we're here, that equity that I talked about before is something that they want to cash in. So the success of the Patriots is amazing, but all that glitters ain't gold. There's certainly underneath surfaces and layers, as we're learning from watching the MJ documentary throughout their dynasty, that the surface level is not the only level in which people are feeling or are really experiencing that greatness. So this is just 2 guys who have so much in the bank in terms of accolades, success, accomplishment in football that decided finally maybe we want to cash some of this in and have to do it somewhere else because we know how Belichick runs his bank. You're not cashing in that equity.
I said it a long time ago when it came to Tom Brady and his negotiations. You can't go through 20 years of benefiting from Bill's ruthless approach to player personnel. And he moved on from some great Patriots, whether it's Seymour or Vrabel or take your pick. He's traded a bunch of them away. Logan Mankins, he traded to Tampa Bay. So you can't benefit from that and then be surprised when it happens to you. So they had a disagreement as to what his worth should be. I think with Gronkowski, you do spend a year away from the game. You're not making near as much money. You have a chance to go do that again with a friend, with a guy that you have a relationship with in a place that has no state income tax. To me, that's more opportunistic than any sort of indictment on New England. And look, they're going to experience something different in Tampa Bay. And it's one of those things where the grass isn't always greener when you go to a new place. Yeah, it may be shinier and it may look better, but winning is a lot of fun, and those guys are used to that type of fun. We'll see.
All right, Marcellus, you referenced something, the Michael Jordan Last Chance documentary, what went on with the Chicago Bulls and their dynasty. There was obviously some animus, Michael Jordan, Jerry Krause, Scottie Pippen, Jerry Krause. I don't know if this is the right word, if Brady and Gronk want to embarrass Bill Belichick, but do you think they'd like to humble him and prove that it wasn't just his system, there's another way to win games in the NFL?
I don't think they're trying to embarrass him. I don't think they're trying to humble him. I think they're trying to enlighten him that there are different ways up this mountain. We understand that the Patriot Way has been the most successful model, but that's not been the only way up the mountain in terms of how you go through that process and the level of enjoyment you may have in success. If we go back to the dynasties in the 80s and the 49ers, I remember hearing stories about how the 49ers had contactless practices and never hit after September, and everyone was like, what? How do they win championships like that? Meanwhile, in New York and Bill Parcells, they're dying every single day on the field to get a couple of championships. So there's just many ways up the mountain in terms of the way that you approach the game. So we can look at that documentary as well. Everyone praises Michael Jordan and his killer instinct and how he went out there and was an assassin. But then we also have to respect Magic Johnson and his 5 championships and how he did it with a smile and kissing the opponents before the game and still went out there and gave you buckets. So I think, if anything, Gronk and Brady want to show Belichick, hey, you can smile on the way up this mountain and enlighten him to a different way.
Look, Bill's about to be 69 years old. I don't think he's going to change that much. You know, my experience is as people get older, they tend to get more resolute in what they believe in. And I don't think this is a function of trying to necessarily embarrass Bill. They want to do well in their opportunity that they have, and that's not a function of needing to embarrass someone else by them doing well. I think one of the things they both have to consider is not embarrassing themselves. They're going to a situation where a ton is going to be expected from them because of what they've done in a completely different system, in a completely different environment, and they're going to have to be able to deliver at that same level. And with Gronkowski, 2 of the past 3 seasons, you know, what do you have? 45 catches and 25 catches and 3 touchdowns in 2 of those 3 seasons. Now he's a season away. So we'll have to see where he is and, you know, how well Tom adjusts to the new environment as well. And this is a completely different situation because you can't spend time in the building. He's going to come in and have to adjust to everything with very limited exposure and who knows what kind of offseason.
All right, hey, guys, very quickly, because we got to go. We got to get to break. 10, 15 seconds each. Is this going to work for Brady and Gronkowski? I think expectations are high now. It's with all these weapons. It's about winning the Super Bowl. Do you think this is going to work, their move to Tampa? Marcellus, Eric, very quickly.
I think it's going to work. I think the expectations of a Super Bowl championship are too lofty with this offseason, with all the integration of key parts so fast. I think just making the playoffs and threatening others, being a contender, is what you should expect.
Yeah, if the expectation is playoffs, then I think it's got a good chance of working. If the expectation is that they're going to win the Super Bowl, I think that's too much to ask for at this point and with the environment we're in.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. And be sure to check out more of the best clips from Speak For Yourself or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.